So me and Gabe were brainstorming about ideas to do for the project. And Gabe said, "Hey Noah, what if we did a timeline of all European history?" And I said, "Gabe, do I look like some kind of idiot who would waste my time doing a timeline of all European history?" This is the Roman Republic, the start of the Roman Republic. So it's actually Rome, but also not Rome. So it starts out as ancient Rome, then it goes to the Republic of Rome, which is what this is, and then it goes to the Roman Empire. Trust me, it's not confusing. Shut up. Don't ask questions. Okay. Okay, then we have Plato, is one of the followers of Socrates, and had a lot of ideas about government. They killed him. Okay, then we have Socrates. He also had a lot of ideas, but it wasn't about government. It was more about traditional philosophical questions. They killed him as well. Oh, side note. Okay, statue of Zeus. They basically were just like, what if we built Zeus but giant? And then they did that. It's actually pretty impressive. It's pretty much gone today though. It was cool at the time though. Alright, after that there was Aristotle. He was like Socrates and Plato, except he didn't die. In fact, he died of natural causes of old age after starting school. Okay, then the mausoleum was completed. It's basically a big cemetery where you bury a bunch of dead people. Then there was Alexander the Great. He was this like really powerful military commander, but then he is kind of famous. He never lost a battle, but eventually he died of tuberculosis while on one of his conquests. Alexander the Great. Okay. The first Roman aqueduct was completed around this time. It's basically where you take a river and you dig it into the city so that the people can have running fresh water from inside the city at their convenience. Around this time, there's this guy. He was a senator, but he basically threw the entire place into a civil war. He was named Julius Caesar, and around this time, he got stabbed a bunch, and he died. Okay, so we have Rome again, but this time it's not this Rome. This is a separate Rome. This is the Roman Empire, which is more of a monarchy than this, which was more of like a democratic place. This is also the start of the Dark Ages. It's a fun time. Roman Empire. Okay. The Colosseum is going to be built this time. It's a big place where a bunch of people kill each other. Feudalism begins. This isn't necessarily when feudalism becomes popular. This is more when the idea of feudalism first came to be and like first had its own recorded cases. Feudalism. Okay. Then the Muslims conquered Spain. They also conquered a lot of different places, but those places aren't in Europe. So for the purposes of this timeline, we don't care about that. Okay. Vikings found Dublin. It's eventually where they ended up settling as the Vikings faded from superiority. It's in Northern Ireland. Okay, feudalism develops. Now this is when feudalism actually becomes like a big thing that people actually start using. Basically when kings lend out land to lords, and they have serfs and knights living on the land with them. Okay. And then William of England, he wasn't actually English, he was actually Scandinavian, I believe. He basically was really obsessed with the English. And he wanted to be an English king, so he conquered England and became king. Alright, after that, this is the time, the High Middle Ages. Oh, nope, not yet. First we have John of England. He was this guy's son. He was basically forced to sign the Magna Carta, which was also at this time. It was this document that basically took away a lot of power from the king and instead gave it to the people and founded British Parliament, which is basically the British version. For starting us off, we got the Great Schism. This is basically two popes at the same time. They each excommunicated each other, which is kind of hilarious in hindsight. They both also ended up leading to a civil war. So that was nice. Okay, now we're getting into the Crusades. So, the First Crusade, it was kind of a big failure. Not a lot of people actually made it back. The First Crusade wasn't a failure actually. They did make it to Jerusalem and they conquered it, and they formed around 13 different kind of cells where they were. Second Crusade, however, that was a failure. Basically, they got the idea, what if we yelled Jesus and went around killing people and took back the Holy Land? So they went and took it back, but then they lost it again, which provoked the Second Crusade. But that crusade was a failure because basically they ran around a bunch and they didn't have a whole lot of organization because they kind of went out on a whim. The Third Crusade was an even bigger failure because this time the leader didn't die in combat, he died by drowning in a river. Then we have the Fourth Crusade, which is my personal favorite, just because of how badly they failed. So not only did they not even manage to find Jerusalem, they did find a city, and they just kind of assumed it was Jerusalem and attacked it and sacked it. Only it turns out it was Constantinople, which is well known for being a Christian city. So they literally attacked themselves in this crusade. Okay, after that we have the Children's Crusade, which was a failure in a less lighthearted sense. It was basically a bunch of teenagers who were like, if they can do it, we can do it too. So they all got on around 5 boats, and they sailed to where they thought Jerusalem was, which turned out to not be where Jerusalem was. It was, in fact, Northern Africa. 2 of the ships were lost at sea, and the other 3 that were filled with teenagers were sold into slavery. Okay, after that we have the 100 Years' War, which, contrary to most history, actually took place over 100 years. As this big feud between England and France that started for various reasons. Those prominent, which being cultural differences. Lasted 100 years, started out with knights, ended with gunpowder. It's kind of interesting. During the 100 Years' War and on the tail ends of the Children's Crusade, there's the Black Death that got started. If you haven't heard of it, it's a plague. It killed 1/3 of Europe. And literally the only reason it died out was because it killed so many people that it didn't have anyone to infect, so it just kind of died out naturally. Ending off our timeline, we have Joan of Arc. She was this French peasant, and she was basically like, Jesus told me to come to lead all of you. And they just kind of accepted it. So they just gave her a small army, and she was known to lead them to victory just because she was kind of so endearing, I guess would be the word. They had her, eventually she was captured and she was burned at the stake for witchcraft and heresy. And that's kind of where our timeline ends. It's everything we've learned so far. There you go. This entire timeline.